Imagine building AI tools once and then using them in any chat with any LLM. With MCP, that future's here. What's up, everybody? Mel here again with Sunrise Compass. Today, we're diving into something that's becoming foundational across the AI landscape, Model Context Protocol, or MCP. You might have heard about it from Microsoft's Copilot Studio, but MCP is way bigger than that. It lets you take your data, actions, and logic and use them with any LLM, like Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, you name it, all with the same tools. So to unpack all of this, I brought in my friend, Gunner Myers, to tell us all about MCP. What's up, Gunner?
Thanks, Mel. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Gunner, this is going to be an exciting topic, so let's just jump right in.
Let's do.
Tell me what MCP actually is.
Yeah, so MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And it essentially exposes tools, prompts, and resources to the LLM. So there are really two parts. There's the MCP server, and that's where all the logic is stored. And then there's the MCP client. So that's your LLM. Think ChatGPT, Copilot Studio, Claude. Those LLMs call actions or data from the MCP server.
So we've got the person, the user, working on the client, and then that is talking to the server without really them knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. And the big deal is that MCP is not limited to one platform?
Yeah, that's the magic of it. You can build it once, and then you can use it across any LLM that supports that protocol.
Okay.
So actions and logic are reusable.
That's really good. Having reusable things is nice.
Very nice.
It makes it much easier to update as you go along as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's break down what's actually in the MCP server.
So there's a lot of different functions within the MCP server. I want to focus on three main ones today, though. So the first are prompts, the second are tools, and the third are resources. So first are prompts. Everybody's pretty familiar with prompts, right? They're instructions or behaviors that shape the tone or focus of the LLM's response. Second are tools. So tools are actions. Think get approved vendors, check inventory, send an email, and these can be strung together. So I could do an inventory check, I could post a journal, and send an email, all that are all linked together. Some connect to business systems like F&O and CE, and others are simple utilities like get the time zone for this user.
Right.
And then the last function are the resources, right? So we've got these files or documents that can be referenced to ground the model's answers.
So that's the part that I'm hearing that is different than just using ChatGPT or Gemini on your own without the MCP server. That server has these resources to, like you said, ground the results it's going to give back. Mm-hmm. So you're really saying, return this kind of data and not everything on the web or something like that.
Yeah, it helps structure the response back to the LLM.
Why is this such a big deal right now? Because everybody's got MCP on the lips, right?
Yeah, everybody's talking about this. You've got all the giants like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, right? And the big deal with this is it allows for modular context-aware AI. So there's no more hard coding these one-off bots to do something. You can use this MCP server across any interface as long as that protocol is supported.
The reusable parts.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's talk real-world application. Can you show me a demo of how this works?
Yeah, let's check out this compliance agent demo.
Okay, let's check it out.
With Microsoft's latest update, the release of the MCP server for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is made available. This is an example of a compliance agent which was deployed with Copilot Studio. We can go to Tools and see that we have a few options available, one of which is the Dynamics 365 MCP connector, as well as the connector for email. So what this agent allows us to do is describe what we want to happen. So in this case, we have a compliance agent. We're going to use Dynamics MCP to look up the television item. We're going to look up and get approved vendors for each of those items. Then we have some additional information in our knowledge sources of Copilot Studio, like certification details and expiration date. We're going to look at that data and determine which vendors have an expiration date within the next 30 days, and then if they fall within that 30-day window, we will send them an email. That also will clearly have the products which are defined as well as the product name. With this agent in particular, we want it to run autonomously. We will have this run on a schedule every day. But to give you an example of what this would look like, we can go over to activity and we can look at a recent run. This is going to show all of the details that have happened. The MCP looked for items, which were television. It found several of those and also got the approved vendors. From here, we were looking at the knowledge that we have, determining which vendors have expiration date and sending them emails appropriately. Over here, you can see that the emails were sent with the item ID and the product name as well. I hope that this is helpful and that you can see how the MCP server can be leveraged within Copilot Studio. All of this was done without any lines of code. Just by me describing through natural language what I wanted to occur, I was able to go and configure this type of agent.
Wow, that's pretty cool, Gunner.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty here. What is actually happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, so behind every response is a series of calls between the MCP client and the server. So here's a quick breakdown. First, you have the user message. So the LLM is receiving the prompt, right? Then you have the context assembly. So the MCP client figures out, okay, which tool do I need to use? And then it packages in relevant data like the user role, history, grounding hints, etc. Next is the tool execution. A JSON call is sent to the MCP server, and then the tool does its job and returns the result. And then lastly, is the LLM's response. So the LLM uses that a JSON call and builds the answer depending on what's returned. And there's also an aspect of traceability depending on the MCP server and MCP client that you're using.
Okay. So that makes me think a little bit. So we've got a lot of stuff connecting and talking and sending stuff back and forth. What about performance impacts?
That's a great question. It's something a lot of people probably want to know about. So there is an aspect of performance that needs to be considered here. This is an API call. So kind of like Power BI with OData or Excel add-ins, you can hit rate limits or cause performance issues if the tools are too chatty.
Too chatty.
Yep. It's on us as builders to be thoughtful about what data is being pulled in and how often we're pulling in that data, especially with real-time ERP systems.
Now, something you said earlier made me think about this next point. You said it's taking the role and everything and it's packaging up. The MCP client's doing that. The role, security. I know everybody's going to ask about that.
Big deal.
How is it dealing with security to access this data?
Yeah, there is an aspect of security that can be implemented with MCP servers. However, it depends on how the servers are built and if that security is even needed. So it is dependent on how the MCP server is designed and built.
Okay, so any final thoughts for us, Gunner?
Yeah, so for technical folks, it's an opportunity to build something once and reuse it everywhere. You're wrapping logic into secure, scalable solutions. And then for our functional consultants, it's an opportunity to solve real-world business problems with natural language. So one important thing to note is not every LLM client can support MCP servers yet.
Yet.
Exactly.
Exactly, okay. So this has been a great conversation for me today because it helps demystify what MCP is and how it works. It's all about changing how we build things. And another trick I've found is that if you forget what MCP does, take that acronym and flip it backwards. So the acronym, Model Context Protocol, MCP, flip it. It's a protocol to give context to your models. That's right. All right, thanks for hanging out today with me, Gunner.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All
Glad to
right,
be here.
we will catch you next time on Sunrise Compass. See you later.